Very good days. Lovely to hear that. Yeah, definitely very good days, especially for holders that have been buying lower. For traders, I'm not so sure. I mean, I've had better, I've had better periods trading. I haven't been losing any money. But like in terms of opportunities, both up and down, I think we've had better opportunities. I was just talking to somebody in Gen Chat yesterday. I'm not sure who it was, and that made me reflect on my performance this year. And I looked at the trading sheet that I had, and I actually had my best months in January and February, which were quite bearish months, especially for ETH and altcoins. That's basically where everything topped. But in terms of trading, I think that provided a lot of volatility, which was good for trading. Of course, not good for swing positions or holders. But like in terms of trading, we really had a lot of swings up and down. Whereas now it's a bit more difficult to trade, right? You got to be very aggressive. So if you're having difficulties, it's not just you. I think it's a general thing in the market. Of course, people get excited if they hold spot. Absolutely, there are reasons to do that. We have ETH almost at 5K, all-time high area. Pretty nuts. But in terms of trading, I think better conditions will come. But it depends on your approach, right? It depends how you like to trade. Yeah, Trader M could have been with you, right? I'm talking to a lot of people throughout the day, so I'm not entirely sure who I discussed this with. ETH charts with pullback to 4,000-ish were shared. What about now? Yeah, I think. I think ETH is at a pretty big zone right now, right? 4,700 is actually 2021 highs. So if there's one area where ETH can finally give a deeper pullback, it should be 4,700. If not here, and if this level is reclaimed, then I think it's going to price discovery, and then you'll have to wait for a few more weeks before you get a nice pullback on Ethereum. So we'll need to see what it does around this level. I've been just ignoring all kinds of lower time frame divergences since breaking out, which is not super unexpected with all the inflows into ETH, right? And all the retail interest. It's not just institutions buying; it's also just ordinary investors, retail people that are not even that active in crypto being interested in Ethereum. Of course, they want to chase the rising charts, right? I've already received a lot of messages from non-crypto friends asking me if it's a good time to buy Ethereum. So it's not just institutions. So it's only natural that like TA on lower time frames becomes more difficult compared to when it is a P2P environment and a trader versus trader market, right? But yeah, holders really a blessing, and I think there have been quite a lot of people in the group that have been buying Ethereum at sub 1,500, 1,600 in April. So it's been giving massive returns, 3x in a few months for a high cap like ETH is absolutely wild, and just great returns. Say you put uh, you put 50K into ETH in April and you have 150K 4 months later, and that's absolutely insane. You would just outperform all S&P 500, and at the end of the day, of course, a lot of people come into crypto looking for that next 100x, right? But realistically speaking, it's all about outperforming Wall Street, right? And of course, that's not super difficult because their returns are more moderate compared to crypto people or to serious crypto traders. But if you achieve that, I think you're already a good investor. And only with ETH, I think you could have done that. All right, Rego sent me a message that he's a bit late, just waiting for a few more seconds. There he is. All right, let's go.
Hello.
Hey man, how you doing?
Hello.
Hello.
Yo.
I can hear you.
Alrighty. Sorry about that.
Don't worry about it. How you doing?
Good. Very good.
How you feeling in a period where Bitcoin is doing nothing and the fund is somewhere else?
I mean, I feel good. I feel good. I mean, ETH is a spot collection of mine, right? So phases are
And
doing
me.
what they're supposed to be doing. I mean, this is what people want, right? This is it. This is the fun times. It's optimistic. It's exciting. But I'll get really excited if we make new all-time highs, and we should. I mean, the momentum's there, but I'll be excited when we enter price discovery on Ethereum,
Mhm.
because until then we could just and I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy here, but it's like you could just reject from the 2021 highs and you can just spend 3 more months ranging, and that could be kind of boring, but man, hold on, let me pull up my chart here just because
No,
it's
you're not being a Nancy. I mean, we had a massive move, and now we are at a resistance zone, if you can call it that way. It's 2021 highs, right? So if there's one place you have to be a bit more cautious, it's here, right? It's not when everything is oversold. So I think
yeah.
it's fine, even if the market is good, to say, hey guys, it's really fun, but be aware of this level here and
Yeah,
there.
and
Maybe pay a little bit, right? Because you
it's
never know.
yeah, like this is the area. Like if there's going to be a flush of longers, if there's going to be any sort of payout for sellers, or any sort of relief of that sort, it's going to be here. Um, so that's what I'm looking at. I mean, we conquered 3682. We smashed through 4,000. We didn't give really a beat for anybody to play around with, right? This is a relentless uptrend. Probably the most old-fashioned crypto style pump you could ever experience, really, on a major as well, right? It's the second biggest market cap reacting in such a way. But there's been a lot of narratives surrounding it. There's been a lot of offers to raise funds to buy, true demand spot is what I'm trying to say, which has been mostly what has driven this move, right? And like when I look at the metrics today, I could kind of start to see people getting a bit carried away now with the borrowed positions. But again, if that spot demand continues on the side of OKEX here, which just continues, guys could be in for a rude awakening, and that's what I've been seeing over the past 3-4 days. Just endless shorts being opened up in the face of a spot demand, very very similar to um, how people reacted to Bitcoin's expansion, right? So yeah, I think a lot of this, I haven't seen half the celebrations I should have been seeing. I thought most of the market participants were Ethereum heads, but realistically, I'm starting to believe a lot of them are so angry, or got fooled so much lower that their only response is to sell this, right? So I find it kind of kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie, is that the move that I think everybody I assumed was anticipating is now being met with just at least for the past few days, not anymore, but it was just being met with rage shorting, like rage selling, like disbelief selling, and that's been punished the whole way through. So yeah, man, I mean, what else is there to say? A market cycle has phases. These phases, in my opinion, are coming to life. I still think, and I'm going to stick to the understanding here that before this smashes new all-time highs and breaks new all-time highs, I think this is gonna come down just a little bit. I can't tell you for sure because again, what I see on the books and what I see in terms of spot buying is just out of this world, at least over the past 2 weeks. But what I am expecting is at least some sort of either a period of if it's really aggressive, I'll see a period of consolidation towards these highs, some sort of retest back to 4,000, and some sort of range between all-time highs and 4,000. And in that period, I would expect the number one market cap as the last thing to do is to mark up once again, and in between, allow even other majors to catch up, maybe even some small some middle caps to catch up in this process. But one thing I won't be expecting is a rip, straight into new highs and a markup that continues beyond 2021 highs without some sort of immediate range being formed. That'll be out of my expectations. I'll be honest with you, just because the move up from 1500 to where we are now, it's been relentless, right? So I'm expecting some sort of cooling off period. I don't call it bearish by any means. I mean, I think I've gotten everything I need to assume where we are in the cycle. But yeah, we're just seeing, like, all it takes is like I said, DB, all it takes is a narrative. And it won't take much liquidity to move the rest of the market. I think I've been very, very clear on that. Is once a small narrative is formed with the momentum to follow it, this is what you see. And again, it's not like Bitcoin where it requires billions of dollars on a continual basis to grow in price. When we're dealing with other market caps, they're just literally so much smaller. That any sort of interest in the spot demand or interest in spot in general will typically send prices into surges like this. So when I look at the rest of the market, it feels much more like a speculative market, the way it moves up and down. When I compare it to Bitcoin, it moves much more like a true asset these days, or a very, very liquid one. So it's less exciting to trade. And these past few weeks, this reminds me of the good old days, to say the least. So I hope everybody's excited. I mean, you're closer to phase 2 than you were 6 months ago, 7 months ago, a year and a half ago. So this should be exciting for people. It's a testament of what we'll see next. It's just as phases move on, the closer we are to the end of our market cycle, right? So phase 2, I still don't even think it's started yet. But when it does start, that's shorter than the first. And when I believe we're in our third phase of the cycle, that's shorter than the second. And when we're in our full-blown mania cycle, that's shorter than the third. So it's going to get shorter and shorter, but more violent, more rapid, and more expansive from this moment on, right? So a very, very exciting month, a very, very hot summer. I think we can all agree this has been a hot summer. Never a dull moment. Maybe for small periods of time, but my God, here we are at 2021 highs, new highs on Bitcoin. We've seen XRP, hit its previous 2021 highs, or 2018 highs, I should say, and we've seen such positives fundamentally. From a serious standpoint, from a legitimate standpoint, we're talking mostly on the side of legislation and promises to purchase and lawsuits being dropped and avenues being open for corporations and big money to get in without not understanding right from wrong. It's been the perfect environment, for, I want to say, since January, because that's what really started it all. It's a pro administration that has done everything in its power to legitimize crypto and will not stop, right, at this point. And we're seeing that now with treasuries opening up, promises to purchase, and most importantly, people throwing funds at these things because now they understand right from wrong, or what's legal, what's illegal. It's a good environment to be in, and I just hope people are excited. Like this reminds you more of the market, that we once got involved into. I mean, when you're ranging for 6, 7, 8 months, when you're, eating a drawdown for 8 to 10 months, 2 years, you kind of lose the vision. But this is why we're in. It's usually for these vertical moves. It's for these, unprecedented rallies, unprecedented moves, and this is what got me into crypto a long time ago. It's what gets most people into crypto. So we're finally seeing glimpses of that, and I'd rather this market conditions than anything else personally. So that's my statement. Sorry for going off.
Yeah, I think a lot of reputational work around crypto has been done throughout the cycle, specifically in the last 3 or 4 months, of course, under the Trump administration. But I also think it started a bit earlier with the ETFs, right, on Bitcoin and ETH. I think that started the reputational work. Crypto used to be this black market, that just attracts degens, nothing relevant for serious and big money, right? Then we got a BTC ETF by BlackRock, the biggest asset manager in the world, right? Advertising it. Then we got an ETF for ETH, and with Trump coming into office, certainly a lot of new regulations around crypto being a lot more crypto friendly. And recently, we also had that 401k law that has been voted and passed by Trump, or at least suggested. I'm not sure if it's been passed by the Senate and the House at all, but I think that's not a problem. And I think I feel like people have not brought that up enough because I think it's very important, right? If we think about global markets, Bego, is why do asset markets go up like the S&P 500 or Nasdaq? It's always because people look for a hedge against devaluating fiat currencies like the dollar that just gets devaluated every time the US prints more money, right? So the purchasing power of your dollar bills becomes less and less due to inflation, right? And as an alternative, people have been looking for the S&P 500 for stock markets, for all kinds of financial markets, but the crypto market, at least when it comes to Wall Street. And I think Bitcoin has been now, or at least in this cycle, positioned quite well among bigger investors as a very, very serious hedge against this devaluation of their currencies, right? And I think, I mean, you can say way more about this, but with a finite supply on Bitcoin, I think it's a perfect hedge against inflation. And combined with that reputational work that has been done throughout the cycle, it's just the perfect asset to be holding, even for bigger money, right? It's actually gold, right? It's actually like gold, and I mean, you as a hardcore believer of Bitcoin, you have known this for years, right? But not everybody knew about this, right? There was quite some skepticism around it, and it's been changed this cycle quite a lot, I think, and that's certainly a very, very
Yeah,
positive development. Now, this doesn't mean that Bitcoin is completely independent of financial cycles, right? It will follow financial cycles, and of course,
100%.
if we get a bear market in global markets at some point, we will see these 30, 40, maybe even 50% drops on Bitcoin. I think that's very, very normal, and it's foolish to assume that that's not going to be the case. But I think if you get that opportunity again with all this reputational work and all this new capital that has access to something like BTC, I'm not sure about ETH, but Bitcoin for sure. Then I think it's an even easier buy from a long-term perspective compared to the buy opportunity that was offered in 2021 or at any other bear market low. So very exciting times ahead of us. I think if you're in from lower on Bitcoin, obviously you're very well positioned. As I said, at some point the concert will the music will stop in the concert, right? And we will certainly have corrective periods and we will certainly have bear markets. Whether that's the time now or a bit later, I think it's still too early to tell. But as you said, I mean, a lot of good work has been done around cryptocurrencies, and you should be looking forward to have the opportunity to buy something like BTC in the next bear market whenever it comes.
Yeah, and like by now you should know I'm a believer in market cycles. It's why I do my best to describe what I believe in terms of a phase that we're in, which gives like more of like a roadmap on what to expect. It's the same way I don't believe, maybe down the line I believe it, but I don't believe that something could just be 80-90% down with a 500 billion-dollar market cap and won't experience cycles and rotations. It's money, right? And if I know anything about the past 8 years, is that people love to make money in this cycle, or not in this cycle, but in this industry. So if there's ways to move markets, if there's ways to spark narratives, and if there's money to be made, that they will do that, right? So cycles are part of it. Crypto follows its very, very, very own unique cycle, particularly due to its fast nature in the sense that it's always open. It's never really closed. So we get like decade-long cycles in a span of 2 to 3 years, right? So I am a believer of drawdowns. I am a believer of bear markets. But I am most importantly a believer in others out there that see an opportunity to make money and they will do that, right? So if that comes down to exploiting, and again, I'll say it again, lesser liquid caps, right? That again do not take maybe even 5% of the inflows, Bitcoin or Ethereum would receive for it to move. Trust me, that will happen. It's just the nature of markets, right? It's the nature of participants, and if there's a chance to pick up money off the floor, they will do that, right? So I'm a believer in markets. I'm a believer in cycles. I don't think everything goes up forever, but there are, I'm a believer in when you have an asset that is truly undervalued, whether it goes up or down doesn't really make sense to time it all the time, and it's just better to have exposure to it, right? Understanding, of course, that there's volatility that comes with it, right? And there's a certain amount of risk when it comes to that. So I am a believer in that. I do believe it follows monetary policy. I do believe it follows the confidence of legacy markets. Again, that's not a small pool of money we're talking about here. So when you see legacy markets truly spooked, one of the first things to go is a market that's considered speculative, which is, I want to say 99% of the crypto industry, right? Maybe aside from BTC, it's being seen as a different outlook nowadays, but it's still a very volatile asset. At any moment, things can change. At any moment, a large holding can decide to offload everything all at once. It's just the discrepancy between that is that those type of people with those amounts of supply are running thin, right? But it's just to say, it does follow monetary policy. Just because if a narrative's there, it could be exploited, right? So it's in everybody's best interest, especially larger participants, to kind of spark said move on a narrative that is fairly visible to everybody, and it allows a market to move in its natural state, right? Because again, like you'll see this be compared to gold all the time now. It's just, and you'll have people say it's hard money, and you'll have people say it's the only solution. It's neither hard nor soft, meaning it always allows people to buy in and it always allows people to sell off. And it's like a perfect median in between hard money and soft money, which allows enough gains for someone to walk away and enough opportunity for someone to buy in. That's the best way I can describe it, which is why I believe in bear markets and bull markets, even if a thing is considered extremely undervalued on the grand scheme of things. But yeah, with that being said, I think we have more than enough proof at this point to show that at any moment a narrative can be sparked. At any moment, some excitement could build, and that's all you really need in a speculative market, right? All people need to do is start believing again. I think you're starting to see that, or glimpses of that, right? It's not just one asset and everybody else is on the sidelines burning. It's starting to come to life again. So that's good. In that sense, I think we're right where we need to be in a market cycle. I mean, next month, DB, I'm pretty sure we understand what's coming next. Lowered rates, and a lot of this move could be in anticipation of that. I'm pretty sure that has to play some sort of role, right?
Absolutely. You can see that in the weakness of the dollar already. I mean, it's not just the anticipation of rate cuts; it's many other factors, right? It's liquidity rising. Of course, there's incentive to hold on to a currency is smaller because of devaluation. But of course, the anticipation of rate cuts in September plays a role. A little bit the attacks on Trump on the Federal Reserve, right? Questioning the independence of the Federal Reserve, but I think mostly is about rate cuts. And with yesterday's, I mean, not even the thing is that we did expect a rate cut in September, right? I don't think the CPI print yesterday changed much of it. It's just added confluence that a 25 BPS rate cut can come or will come in September. I think regardless of how inflation prints in the next few days, like tomorrow, for example, we have PPI, regardless of how they print, I think we will get a rate cut in September, 25 BPS as things stand now. be advised that this can still change, right? I mean, depending on how inflation data turns out this month and next month, we could even get a 50 BPS rate cut. We will see. That's not on the table right now, but dynamics change, right? And I see us at a very, very similar situation regarding the dollar and the Federal Reserve as last year. We've covered this, right? We have seen a very weak dollar in August, in summer last year, and we had the 50 BPS rate cut announcement by the Federal Reserve in September 2024, right? And I think that all the pricing in of that is already happening. So I personally don't think that September will come. We will get a rate cut announcement and things will just go parabolic. I think it's not as easy as that because a lot of pricing that is being done right now, even with the dollar dropping back below 98 today, the DXY index, after rejecting from that 100 area. I think that was also very, very crucial to speculative markets. And we've had that little drop like 10 days ago where ETH dropped to 3,400. And we saw some strength in the dollar towards the 100 area. Perfect bearish retest did fail to move back into that higher time frame range. It has been trading for the past decades. Instant rejection dropped to 97.7, and all this drop to 97.7 basically led also to a move higher in speculative assets because people just want to hedge against the devaluation of that currency, and it's only natural for assets to go higher. So we will see. I think the dollar has a pretty big zone right now. I just looked at it a bit earlier. A very, very big zone. If you look at the DXY index at 97.7, testing a diagonal and the horizontal support level. And if we find acceptance below this, I think the DXY is going back to 96, and that could be an additional catalyst for speculative assets, especially for altcoins, in my view. So we'll see how it reacts here. But I still believe, other things equal, that in September we will see a definite bottom for the dollar once rate cuts are announced, at least a local one.
Yeah, unless there's plans to lower them from this point on, right? I mean, I don't think 50 basis points is this month. I don't think they'll do it in a single month. But maybe over the course of the next 2-3 months. I mean, if people are already pricing that in, that's something to consider, right? So we will keep our eye on the dollar, right, going into next month and the month after that. But yeah, this move is sparked on a number of things, right? I think a lot of it is front running treasury offerings and their attempts to raise and purchase. So I think a lot of people are early to this trade and again kind of front running that. At the same time, I think CPI numbers, it was yesterday, right? Yesterday was Tuesday. CPI numbers yesterday. And just overall, what was the last thing that we saw that pretty much guaranteed our rate cuts? I think it was Powell's conference, right? Where people just kind of got the confirmation they were looking for to assume rate cuts.
We did have speculations about the rate cut in September for at least 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
But then I think the employment data that came in that showed unemployment above expectations and some other labor market data that showed that the labor market is actually weakening, that really sparked optimism towards September. And now with CPI not even coming in that good, I mean, the data wasn't that good. I think it's just that people expected way worse because we had CPI at the same level as last month, but below expectations of 2.8%. And we had core CPI actually above expectations, right? So it's not like inflation has been decreasing. It's just about how CPI comes in relative to the expectations of the market. The market expected higher inflation than last month. It did not come higher than last month, at least the main data print, the CPI print, not the core CPI print, did not come higher than expected, or at least not higher than last month. And that's all it needed, basically, to start speculating more that a rate cut in September is happening.
Okay.
We have PPI tomorrow. It's a bit
Okay, it's
less
tomorrow.
relevant
Yeah.
than CPI, but it's just another data print that I don't think it will change the bigger picture. I think we're getting a rate cut in September, but might be something to consider just in case numbers come in totally unexpected or beyond expectations.
I mean, yeah, I think everybody's in agreement that yeah,
Yeah,
this is coming.
pretty
It's
clear.
coming next month. Yeah. So it's no longer
Very,
news,
very
right?
clear.
It's no longer news. I think everybody should know that. No longer
What can
news.
happen though, Rego, and we talked about it last week, is let's say we have PPI below expectations. Is that I think that CME target rate can switch more towards, or not more, but I think we would have then like an 80% probability of a 25 BPS rate cut and the 20% probability of a 50 BPS rate cut. You know
So
what I mean? And
I
then
think
unchanged.
I, I think PPI will only confirm that in oh my god, why am I saying in October we'll get 25 as well, because we're already 70-30 on another rate cut the following month, right? So I think I'm going to call it here, and I think 50 in a single month is out of the question. But tomorrow's PPI will most likely nip this, right? And confirm that you're just going to get two rate cuts back to back, right? That's what I think is going to happen. I don't think 50 is going to happen in a single month.
No, I
Given
don't
how
think it will happen
reluctant,
either. I just think that markets could speculate slightly, like a 10% probability of a 50 BPS rate cut if inflation data is really good. But that's a big if. But I don't think we will get a 50 BPS rate cut in
I don't
September.
either.
If
I
at
don't
all,
either.
we will get one in September and one in October. And yeah, to answer HBJ's question, I think a lot of
We were just
pricing in
talking
is
about that,
happening.
yeah. Like we
Yeah, a lot of
literally
pricing.
just
Of course, there are other things that are moving the dollar as well. As I said, also the revenues that the United States is counting from tariffs and the debt crisis as well. I think that's also contributing to assets like gold and Bitcoin rising and the dollar dropping. But ultimately, I think when it comes to the dollar, a lot of it has to do with monetary policy in the United States, and which is basically a rate cut or other monetary policy measures. But for now, we're just talking about a rate cut. We don't know what the Federal Reserve is planning in addition to a rate cut, because there can be other things as well, right? They can, for example, say, well, we will completely stop dropping our balance sheet and we will start buying back governmental bonds, right? I don't think they will go that far in September, but there are other things that can be announced that can be important for the monetary policy and the easing cycle as well. It's not just a rate cut, but somehow we always just talk about a rate cut, right? But there are many other things that can be announced during the FOMC meeting that can be relevant as well. I'm looking at the exact same level for hype as you are, by the way.
yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, I've been sleeping on this. I'm so like ah there's so many good levels, but like I just feel like it's at least in this immediate moment, it's passe there. I don't know, I'm just considering levels again. There's so many good ones. There's so many good ones. It's just like, do they come back to entry? I don't know. Um, yeah, I'm just doing my best here not to go a bit crazy, even though I should be. Like I should be. It's been a few days that some easily exploitable moves that I just can't explain why I haven't taken them. But yeah, I mean, hold on. I think we have
That's a very nice question, chat.
when do
If
rate
you want
cuts
to answer
cease to
that.
be beneficial for crypto? Rate cuts are generally beneficial for the dollar, and a strong dollar is not favorable for risk assets. At what point can we conclude that rate cuts are no longer effective? Rate cuts or rate hikes?
I think he has a fair question. If I can just add to that, Greg, or do you want to go ahead first?
I mean, it depends on the context, right? I mean, you've
Because
had the same
it,
rates
it, it
for
also
months
depends on
now. You know,
it depends on the perspective, short or long term, right? So short term, I don't think rate cuts are bullish for the dollar per se, because the potential returns of holding the dollar become lower when interest rates drop, right? But the thing is that markets are very, very good at front running major macroeconomic decisions, right? So, as I said a bit earlier, last time we had a 50 BPS rate cut, the dollar already dropped before that, right? And in the same week, the rate cut got announced. That's exactly when DXY bottomed and grew by 10%. That's the short term aspect. Long term, I think rate cuts will cease being beneficial for crypto when they encourage so much business activity, right? Because at the end of the day, what does a lower rates mean? It means that if Rego is a business owner, he'll have a way easier time to borrow money, right? Take out loans and expand his business. So lower rate cuts or lower rates, can cease to be beneficial for crypto when they encourage so much borrowing that it increases economic growth and business activity to a certain level that picks up inflation again, right? And when inflation is then becoming a problem again due to all the business activity, then that's, I think, when it becomes a bit risky for speculative assets, because with rising inflation, central banks basically will switch back to tightening again, right? So in that sense, I think lower rates can become problematic in the long run for speculative assets, but that's of course the long shot, right? It takes a lot of time before lower rates can actually influence inflation in such way. But one thing we also need to understand is that yes, the Federal Reserve in the US is a bit late, and a bit being maybe exaggerated. It's quite late, especially if we compare it to other central banks. But easing has been happening for the past 3, 4, 5 years, right? If you look at China, it's been easing for years and years and years, and increasing liquidity and dropping interest rates. The Central European Bank has also been dropping interest rates, I think 10 times or something like that, and
Canada as well.
increasing money supply and adding liquidity, right? So when we think about the Federal Reserve in the US cutting interest rates and potentially increasing inflation at some point, I think it's a bit late to think about that, right? Because we have to think about the consequences of the easing cycle of other central banks and how that can influence inflation at some point. And what I think is very important to consider in the next few months is also how other central banks, other than the Federal Reserve in the United States, will proceed with their easing cycle, or whether they will decide to slow it down, potentially even pivot back to a tightening cycle, depending on how business activity and inflation evolves. So a very, very long answer. I hope it makes sense. So long story short, it depends a bit whether you have a long-term or a short-term perspective. So I hope that makes sense.
Very thorough response, Mr. DB.
Oh, thank you, man.
We got about 20 minutes left. I like our conversation so far. I mean, I'm starting to get stream indicator vibes here. We have 94 people. This is the last time I think we saw 94 to 100 people in this stream was January, right? So guys, if you guys got questions, I think we'll that's stream viewer count indicator. I'm gonna code that one into existence because
HBJ, I'm sorry, but there's no top on Bitcoin, HBJ. I've learned that from a friend.
there are no tops on Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually thinking about asking somebody of the administrators or mods if they could give me data about memberships in Wealth Group, and I would do some analysis and try to see if we can create some form of bottom or top indicators from the membership numbers across the last few years.
I mean, yeah, when interest increases, naturally, it's yeah. I'm just gonna say that there's been a striking correlation with members joining and members leaving. It's actually quite telling. It's an edge in itself, really, to some extent.
Yeah.
I just think the market's in a place where it wants to expand and grow here and garner some mass attention. Because like I believe in every cycle, it tends to, at least every crypto cycle tends to go a bit parabolic before you really start to see, you know, the line in the sand for the next few years to come. And I don't think we're anywhere near there. It's been slow grinds up. It's been 3 years, 4 years of straight pain. You know, unless you're a Bitcoin holder, of course. But even then, um, you need to see something like you don't see this. You don't see skepticism every 5 minutes. You don't see, you know, 5% drops followed by grinding and ranging for the next, you know, 3 months. It doesn't look like this. Tops don't really look like this. Macro tops, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. They're usually met with like stupid, unreasonable levels of euphoria, where it's like, oh guys, you know, I'm closing my long here after 6 7x, and someone goes, "Are you fucking stupid, bro? Why not 30?" Like it's usually that's when it's, you know, you're close to a top. Like the sentiment is more about being stupid for taking profits. Like and lately it's always about, it's like everybody has the skepticism surrounding them, right? It's, and I've seen that in Ethereum's rally. It's nobody actually believes. And of course there's always going to be like the maxis and you know the true believers, but like a majority of people in the books shows otherwise, because it's not them that has the money that's buying at this rate. It's them that are selling to these guys, right? So the true belief here is disbelief and skepticism and almost a bit of hatred, right? So again, I still think we're, you know, I'm a phase one believer, so I still think you're fucking early, and I'll continue to say that. Like you're still so early to what I believe real mania and madness looks like in a crypto market, right? Like this is not mania and madness. It's more along the lines of a disbelief feeling. Like people have disbelief. That's like my sentiment read on participants, on the people I talk to, you know, on the traders I discuss with. It's more of a disbelief. You know, even to some extent, I have a bit of disbelief, and that's how I know. Like, I don't feel euphoric in the slightest. I don't. I'm always ready to look for why we could go down, if that makes sense, right? So, I mean, we got 15 minutes here, so I guess we can answer some questions. Look at the chat a bit. There are a lot of you in here, so if you guys do have questions, I think.
Yeah, there's one. We covered this already, but let's just to give a brief summary. With increased regulations and adoption of BTC, I feel like BTC dropping 70 to 80% in bear markets might be overstretched. Would love to know your thoughts. Yeah, I've been saying that, of course, there's been a lot of reputational work with Bitcoin this cycle, right? Of course, with the ETFs, with a lot of new capital having access to Bitcoin. I don't think it makes BTC independent of financial cycles, but I could imagine that next bear market we won't have like an 80-90% drop on BTC. It will, of course, depend on global markets as well and how far they correct at some point, right? We should never forget the influence of global markets on Bitcoin. But if any correction or bear market is rather moderate, then yeah, I would say that anything between a 50, maybe 60% drop at some point for BTC is plausible. Whether it is from these levels or higher, that's something else to discuss, right? But I do think that at least for Bitcoin, for the rest of the market, I think nothing will change. We will have altcoins drop 90-95%. Some of them will just completely be irrelevant. But when it comes to BTC, I wouldn't be surprised to see like a more moderate decline at some point compared to previous cycles. Uh, can I answer this last tag from Mario? Because this is a very important thing I've been noticing a
Hey,
lot.
hey, we tried
Just look at this.
Mario. We did tell him. We did tell him in Art of War. Like,
I shot myself in the foot with my spot ETH at 4K. Let me just tell you one thing. If you're in ETH from way lower and you sell ETH at 4K, first of all, you're selling in profits, right? There's nothing worse than hindsight trading because that will just make you unhappy about the very beautiful profits you've made in a position, right? This is not a market of idealism. right? You will never be able to always be right. And of course, in hindsight, when you think about your positions, you will find a lot of mistakes that you have made, right? What is important is financial progress over a longer period of time. So if you made profits, kudos to that. Second of all, you took profits under a clear higher time frame resistance, right? Because you followed a certain setup. You bought Ethereum at a support level. I don't know where you bought, but I'm assuming you bought at a support level, and you took profits at a resistance area. Now, if that resistance area is flipped, you are being presented with a completely new setup, right? It's a new setup. You have a new support zone, you have new triggers to be buying, and you have new invalidation levels. Of course, it sucks if you sold at 4K and it goes to 4,700, but you will get that retest at 4,000, 4,100, maybe 4,200 at some point, and then you deal with a completely new setup and new trading opportunity, right? So that's how you should see it, not going back and being mad about profits being taken. Just remember one thing: there are more people losing money in this market probably than actually making good money. And at the end of the cycle, more people will leave this market at break even or at a loss than in profits, and let alone significant profits. So never be mad about taking profits, and never do hindsight trading, right? Going back saying, if I did this, I would have won this much, right? Because you will just kill yourself. You will never be happy in crypto if you do that. Take the profits, be happy, look for the next setup, and continue
So
showing financial profit.
I want to add some things here. We're getting some nice questions as well, so we'll do our best to answer them in a timely manner. Mario, it's like I said, I think on last stream, right? I don't think last stream with I believe Pocky. No, Pocky wasn't there, but I said it on Friday, where I felt like entering towards 4K is where I think a lot of people from January up until now held way longer than they thought they were going to, and are just more than happy to relieve the stress off their shoulders and just get out at either break even, a small profit, and just call it a day so they can move on with a clear head to the next one. With that is mixed up until now, until about 4,800. You have people holding from the past 4 years that have been trapped for 4 years, and again. Mentally, it plays a role on a lot of people and their look on markets when they're already exposed to something. So again, it kind of mixes with the sentiment where I said like it's almost like I don't see as much as excitement as I should. And again, it's almost like it's being met with consistent selling in the face of almost institutional level buying, right? So again, it just follows the mentality of like what I was telling you is that a lot of people are exhausted and tired from holding for so long, and they're more than happy to just get out in a small profit, maybe even a small tiny loss, depending where you bought in 2021. But at the end of the day, they want to start fresh and they just want to get out. A lot of the times, when I'll tell you one thing: like if you're pushed underwater, right, and someone's just holding you there, right, the moment you get a chance to breathe, you're going to want to breathe, right? The second you get your head out of the water, the last thing you want to do is be under there ever again. And that's how a lot of people have felt from the past 4 years. And it's the environment that shapes the next cycle, is that someone else hasn't been waiting that long and hasn't, been beaten down like that and is willing to buy it off you. And that's where I think we're at right now. It's a transferring of people that have just had enough. They've held long enough and they want out, right? So again, I see why people sold at 4K. It's a perfectly fair level to assume, right? It's an area that's been rejected from time and time again. It's a psychological number. Um, so I just want to throw that out there. There is a psychological aspect to why you made that decision. It's not wrong. It's not wrong. Like again, hindsight 2020. When it comes to trading, you're going to make decisions. Sometimes you sell a bit too early, but over the course of the next 3 months, you actually made the right decision. You just gave up a bit of profit, but overall you were right. It's like time will tell. At any moment, it's just the state of mind that you're in. You can always convince yourself that you made the wrong decision, right? And you were kind of manifesting that. So the second something goes against you, you automatically correlate that to your own actions, right? And I just think that's a dangerous slippery slope. You need to yeah, there is an edge in being wrong all the time, but at the same time that there's a gift in that, and we spoke about this, is that there's something there that you're doing that is right. It's just reacting the wrong way, but there's something there that's right. Now I've told you, Mario, like you need to have a recollection, some logs, some data that you can go on so you can find this common denominator. But if you're just gonna reference every previous time, like the human brain plays tricks on people, especially when they're in an emotional state. So again, like you have something there. It's just you're not taking it seriously enough, right? Like being right all the time, being wrong all the time. It's like I said, it's an edge in itself. There's something there that's constantly clicking and working. You just got to find it, and that can be easily exploited. But I definitely want to move on to other questions here. I just want to make sure. Okay, we have one more from Belkinator, and this is a psychological question. We like these. Have you guys noticed your conviction dips as you spend more time as a? Have you guys noticed your conviction? Okay, yeah. Have you noticed that your conviction dips as you spend more time as a trader? At least at times. Hesitation rises to take on trades versus earlier in career. How do you guys deal with that psychological frame? Balconator, that usually comes from like if you've been a first market cycle participant, you usually go in to your first cycle not really knowing what loss is, not really knowing what pitfalls lie ahead. And you're introduced into the space, with tons of optimism, and the space is exciting and everything's new to you. And chances are you end, if you're like me or if you're like anybody else that gets into trading for the first time, they're usually getting in at the max excitement point where like things last maybe another week or two, maybe 3 weeks, and then everything just goes to shit for the next 3 years. So those first 3 weeks, you get like this unwavering confidence, kind of like a guy that's never lost a battle before, right? That they can never understand what loss is. And then you're met with loss after loss after loss after loss, and the market hits you with more of a realistic scenario, right, or a more realistic expectation. And then the next time around, when you're being provided the same scenario, maybe even a bit earlier to the optimism that you're so used to, or that you were looking so forward to, this time you have the scars on your back, right, which makes you a little bit more reluctant to hold trades past a reasonable rate, or to hold trades kind of like your friend that just got into crypto that doesn't understand what it means to be met with like a price rejection or a large drawdown. You have this fear now because you have what we call experience, right? And you have someone that's telling you that you could walk away and you should walk away, whereas the one that doesn't understand what's going on just kind of holds it into unreasonable levels, makes an unreasonable amount of money. But the difference between the both is one is going to keep it, the other one's going to lose it all. So it's normal. It's normal to be a little bit more hesitant. Again, it's knowing that if you fall from this point on, you could fall to your death, and the one that doesn't understand gravity will continuously jump over the gap without understanding the risks associated if they were to fall. It's the same mentality. It's the same sort of scenario, right? Like if you don't know what loss is, if you don't know what drawdowns feel like, then there's nothing to be afraid of. But if you do know, you're definitely more hesitant. You don't ever want to repeat or go into that scenario again. So I'm here to tell you it's normal. The more experienced you become, the more cautious and reluctant you are. But the more you pick your battles, the ones that you could win, and not the ones that leave it up to chance. So that's the difference between experience over time and the effect it plays. It's not always easier. Sometimes it could be pretty tough, but yeah. DB, if you want to add anything to that.
No, perfectly summarized.
Oh my God, what happened to BDC here? Oh. Shit. Did I hit my first take profit? Yeah, let's go. Okay, come on, TP2, let's go.
It's interesting to see. I mean, of course, we're way too early to tell, but it's interesting to see Bitcoin dominance actually rising up in New York Open, because it's always been declining in the last few days, as ETFs have been more focused on ETH. But ETH is at a pretty big zone, as we discussed, right? 4,700, 4,800.
We're at 2021 highs.
Yeah, exactly. And now we're seeing actually Bitcoin dominance rise after New York Open. So, I mean, could also be a speculation that ETH is at a bigger resistance zone, right? And that Bitcoin could keep on rising and going into price discovery. So very normal to see.
It's like what I said last night. Is everybody's like kind of like raving over Bitcoin dominance dropping, but there's conditions and there's specific things you need to take note of when dominance is at the level that it's at and where Bitcoin is at the price it's trading at. We've seen, I want to say, a 4%, 5% drop from dominance highs, and Bitcoin hasn't moved an inch. It hasn't moved at all, which is more indicative of one thing. And it's not what I think people are thinking, is that, oh, look, money's outflowing out of Bitcoin into other things. It's like, no, if that were the case, the price of Bitcoin would be changed dramatically. Truth is, it just kind of goes sideways and has kind of met a floor. The realistic thing to assume here is that new money is being found and new money is entering the space. But at the same time, this new money is outpacing the money that's currently going, like at this current moment in time, is what I'm saying, is that the current money that is being found is going into other assets like Ethereum, like Solana, mostly Ethereum. I'm going to say it's mostly Ethereum. 95% of it is Ethereum. And for that reason, a market cap that is so much less, it's quite less than Bitcoin, growing at a faster rate than Bitcoin's, will steal, market cap influence that Bitcoin has. I mean, it's growing at a less, it's taking more to grow, and it's growing at a lesser pace, and something else is receiving much more inflow at a lower market cap, which takes a lot less to make it grow. So again, naturally, what happens there is it's not that money's flowing out of Bitcoin; it's that new money is flowing into Ethereum, and some money could still be flowing into Bitcoin, but most of it is going into Ethereum at this current moment in time, and that's the reason for dominance going down. It's that it has less influence on the total market cap of the industry itself. It's not necessarily indicative that money is pouring out of Bitcoin. People are transferring their Bitcoin for no, it's just new money. Assume it's new money entering the space, and that's just going somewhere else at this current moment in time. And we have every reason to assume so. We have promises to purchase. We have treasuries being formed, and we have people front running this idea. Most importantly, so that it's a discrepancy I think people need to keep in mind. It's there's not money just being rotated from one side to the other. That would be kind of bearish. Instead, it's just new money entering the space. That's it. That's what it is. It's more likely it's new money entering the space, this time on something else. So, man, it's already 10 o'clock. What the fuck? We're already done, boys.
Yep.
These streams are so much
Very
better when
nice
things
stream.
move.
Really enjoyed this one. I think we covered a lot of interesting stuff and relevant stuff as well.
Yeah, it's been a fun one. I think we got a lot covered. I think we have a lot of macro to go off as well. A much clearer roadmap instead of just taking it day by day. I mean, next month seems pretty clear. We know what to expect, and we know how a market should react if these expectations are met. Yeah, I mean, PPI tomorrow, right? Like you said, we're not going to be here for that, but we will discuss it next week. And yeah, I mean, been a good stream overall. No complaints. Chat was active. Viewer count very high. It's a testament to the times we're in. So, guys, DB, I think our time is up, my friend, my European friend. Yeah.
Let's leave some more time for Pocky, who's coming up. So stay on stream. I think Pocky probably has some nice setups to share with you as well.
Yep.
Definitely worth following. But thank you guys for following. I really enjoyed this one. I mean, I enjoy all the streams, but this one's I think even more special. Thank you for your engagement and for always following our streams and content. We really appreciate it. So hope you find it helpful. Stay safe trading and have a lovely rest of the day.
Yep. Take care, guys. Thanks for joining. Thanks for following. Thanks for sticking, even through the tough times. And to the new ones here, we hope to see you every week. Same time, same place. DB, I'm out. Chat, I'm out. And yeah, have a good trade day. And we'll see each other next week.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Take care.